What is going on, guys and girls? Welcome back to TV and Me. I'm of course Kevin, and it's time again for the Walking Dead weekend. We are back after last weekend's episodes, which turned out to be a couple of great ones, especially that last one with Bob, with the death, which was of course really sad, and also the fun moments with his death, where he sort of got one over on the termites. Now I know a lot of you in the comment section said that in fact they wouldn't have got infected by that meat, because, you know, it burns meat burns at a certain temperature, and then the virus would have died in that temperature. But I replied to some of you as well about that, and I think that despite me knowing that it probably wouldn't have harmed them in the long run, I like to think that it did, just because it gives Bob this great out in this world, because we see people die time and time again in this series where their death has no meaning. They don't get one up on anyone, they just get killed and then that's it. Whereas with Bob, he had sort of, if you could call it, the perfect death in this show, where he got one over on the people that tortured him and threatened to kill him. And then not only that, he died with the people he loved around him. You know, he had the whole of the family, or what I call the family, around him, Rick's group, you know, before they split up. And, you know, it was a great moment. Like I say, Bob went out with a smile on his face, and I'm going to miss the Bob character. Really interesting guy, you know. I always said I enjoyed his positivity in this world. He always had, you know, an answer for every negativity everyone else had. And I know he had his problems with his drinking, but it seemed like he had got over that. He was moving forward. He was focusing on the positives, like I say. And it's a shame to see him go. And I hope someone does fill that spot of positivity, because in a group full of negative people, it's only going to be depressing, dark, and I feel like you need that little bit of laughter, that little bit of joyfulness, and I hope someone steps up to the plate in that manner. But moving away from the loss of Bob, we of course also lost Glenn, Maggie and Tara, who have gone on a trip, or on the mission, with Eugene, Rosita and Abraham. Now, I'm still not 100% sure whether Eugene does in fact have some sort of cure for the virus. I feel like that is too good to be true, and we've learned time and time again in this series that if it appears too good to be true, then chances are that it is too good to be true. And I feel like they may be chasing their own tail, or, you know, on a wild goose chase. And maybe Abraham doesn't know, maybe Rosita doesn't know, but maybe Eugene has convinced himself that he can save people when in fact he can't. And I mean, I suppose even if there's that slight chance, you've got to try, because there's nothing else worth, you know, fighting for, really. There's only your own survival, and beyond that there's nothing. And if there was a slight chance that someone did have a cure, of course you would then go follow that person to try and get to their destination to cure the Walker virus. But I don't know, I'm a bit sceptical. I hope I'm wrong, I really do, but they've taken Glenn, Maggie and Tara with them, and I just hope that now we're going to be focused on two groups. I take it now they're split up, that maybe the group will get back together again. Maybe in Washington, who knows, maybe Rick and the group will eventually reach Washington and catch up with them. But like everything in this show, and I always say it, I just have to wait and find out. So before we get into this episode, I should probably touch on one last thing, and that is the fact Beth is still missing. At the end of last episode, we did see that Daryl came out of a bush, of course, after he was chasing down that car. Carol went with him, but Carol wasn't there when Daryl came out of the bush, although he did call to someone who apparently was still in the bushes. Now, I don't know whether that's Carol with him, whether that's Beth with him, whether that's just someone completely random with him and he's got a whole story about what's happened. Maybe Carol's been caught along with Beth, I do not know. But I'm still a little worried about this priest guy, Gabriel, as well. I'm a little worried that maybe he's in cahoots with the person in the car that took Beth, mainly just because he's a priest and the car had a cross on it. So, you know, there's some tedious link between those two things that I'm holding on to. Then again, I could be completely misjudging the guy, and he could just be the priest that we've sort of met over the last few episodes. But, you know, I said it in the last review, and I keep saying it. If someone's good and they survive in one location, I'm a little bit wary of their character. Mainly because, you know, the lessons we've been taught in the past with, you know, good people never survive, and if you stay in a location it inevitably gets attacked. Now I suppose you could say Rick and his group coming to the church is some sort of attack because the termites then followed them, but I don't know. There's something still off about that guy, but I hope they prove me wrong. I hope the priest is a good guy, Gabriel, and we finally meet someone with a good heart again. So let's just get straight into this episode. I don't want to go too long into the recap because I've been waiting about 5 days to watch this episode and I'm excited to get into it. So without further ado, let's do it. This is Season 5, Episode 4. It's Beth. Oh shit, where is she? That's not Atlanta, is it?
Everything's okay, okay?
Put it down. Drop it right now.
I'm Dr. Stephen Edwards. This is Officer Don Lerner. How are you feeling?
Where am I?
Grady Memorial Hospital in Atlanta.
She's back in Atlanta.
How did I get here?
My officers found you on the side of the road surrounded by rotters.
Your wrist was fractured and you sustained a superficial head wound. Can you remember your name?
Beth. The man I was with, is he here too?
You were alone. If we hadn't saved you, you'd be one of them right now. So you owe us.
Yeah. I don't trust him. It's like, that's my default action now. I just don't trust him. Why would someone still be wearing a police uniform this far into the apocalypse unless you were trying to maybe intimidate or make someone try and trust you? Don't trust him. No good things are going to come out of this.
I tried to do what I could.
That's it.
If patients don't show any signs of improvement, yeah, Don calls it.
What about him turning? Oh, okay. Why did I ask?
Come on, body's getting cold.
How many people live here?
Just enough to keep us going. Some of us started here, some came as patients. Everyone has a job.
Can't we bury him?
We only go out when we need to. It may not be the most dignified disposal system, but we work with what we have. Rotters find their way into the basement when they hear a noise, and if the bodies are warm, they clean up some of the mess.
Use everything you can use.
Plus, it's the fastest way down.
Not very dignified, but, you know, needs must.
You don't remember me, huh?
I was fighting a walker, and then everything went black.
Yeah. When someone does you a favor, it's a courtesy to show some appreciation. Unless you want me to write down everything you're taking. Everything costs something, right?
I can't remember the last time I heard a record.
It's one of the few perks I get for being the only doctor here. It's a Caravaggio. I found it on the street outside the High. Like trash.
It's beautiful.
It doesn't have a place anymore. Art isn't about survival. It's about transcendence. Being more than animals. Rising above.
We can't do that anymore?
I don't know.
I sing.
We got a new one.
Look, this one's a loser. You said you didn't want me wasting resources.
Well, today I want you to try.
Okay, plug the EKG and the ultrasound in that battery pack, go. Good. Tension pneumothorax, punctured lung. Beth, I need a large hollow needle in that cabinet.
Why does she want him saved all of a sudden? Does she know him?
He fell from a building, Dawn.
Is he going to make it?
You see these bruises? He has internal bleeding, but I need a CAT scan to know how bad, and even if I could determine that, I don't have the tools to save it. I told you, this was a waste of resources.
Try to grasp the stakes here.
What the actual fuck? What was that about? What a bitch.
She always like that?
Only on her bad days. It's unfortunate for us. That's the only kind she has.
Whatever you were thinking, it wasn't worth it. Okay, you have two choices. Either we cut off your arm, or you do.
Prove it. Enter.
Smart-ass whore.
Gorman, get out of here! No, no, no! I said leave me alone! No, we're not gonna let you die! We are not gonna let you turn!
You can't control them.
I will.
You ready?
Something really weird is going on. I don't know what.
You know what happened with Joan? If she'd have stayed, worked for a while, couldn't she have just left?
I haven't seen it work like that yet.
How long have you been here?
It's about a year. Dad and I were both pretty messed up when they found us. They said that they could only save one. For the longest time, I actually believed them. Dad was bigger, stronger. Would have fought back. Would have been a threat.
They left him behind on purpose.
And Dawn just looked the other way. See, she's in charge, but just barely. And it's getting worse.
I know you didn't have breakfast.
I don't need much. I'm not staying any longer than you make me.
I'm giving you food, clothes, protection. When have those things ever been free?
I never asked for your help.
But you needed it. It's taken a lot to get us here, Beth. And I believe that what we had before all of this isn't over. And when we're finally rescued, when this nightmare ends, we're gonna need to rebuild.
You don't really think someone's coming for us?
There's still people like us, Beth. People trying to keep the world alive, to fix it. Until then, we all have to contribute. If we take, we give back. It's only fair. So keep working off what you owe, and you'll be out of here in no time.
She can't control them. But she doesn't because it's easier.
What did he do to you?
It doesn't matter. I guess it's easy to make a deal with the devil when you're not the one paying the price.
Sour apple? Like the kind Dawn acquired from pediatrics. Suppose you could have a taste. See if it rings any bells.
I don't want it.
Oh, come on now. I just want to be sure I'm returning this to its rightful owner.
He's gonna die.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Leave her alone.
Girl should have been mine.
Nobody's yours, Gorman. Nobody. And if you think you're getting Joan back, you...
Oh, I'm gonna get her back.
So he's
I
some
will.
kind of rapist then.
You stepping up, Doc?
What happens when you get sick, Gorman? When you get an infection? When you get bit?
I think there's gonna be somebody. Somebody who ain't you.
Gorman.
And maybe somebody in charge who ain't her.
Welcome to the ground floor of Grady Memorial Hospital. This isn't a way out. There isn't one.
Why'd you bring me here?
Watch. When I start thinking about it too much, I come down and look at this.
Why'd you bring me here?
You asked why I stayed. Come on. Let me tell you a story. When everything started, Don reported to a guy named Hanson. They had orders to clear the hospital and move everyone to Butler Park. It's close to midnight when we heard the jets, the bombs, the screams. I was on the 3rd floor. Don and Hanson's teams were doing a final sweep, and we knew it was bad. Just didn't know how bad till we came up here. The city'd fallen. We kept mostly to ourselves at first, till the food ran out. We started going out on runs, few of us at a time. We'd see people who needed help, barely holding on, but we were barely holding on ourselves. Came a time I couldn't look away anymore. Found this kid, napalm burns in his clothes, skin. Don said we couldn't spare the resources, so we struck a deal. I'd use what I could to heal him, and he'd compensate us for those resources through service. Now,
You're not the problem.
we lost people. Hanson cracked. He made some calls that got people killed. Dawn took care of things. She took care of him.
You call this living?
Patients we brought here, they're still breathing. Outside these walls, alone, unprotected, they'd be dead. We'd be dead. How about you look into Mr. Trevor, call it a day?
Okay.
He's stable, due for another 75 milligrams of clozapine. And tomorrow, we'll start fresh.
Sure.